I brought you guys all together because I thought it'd be an interesting conversation. Greg, Eric, Greg and Steve are big proponents of calories in and calories out.
It's Coach Greg and Editor Steve. Editor Steve and Coach Greg. And what are we doing? We're talking about calories in, calories out. It's a debate. It's a debate with Dr. Eric Serrano. World famous Dr. Eric Serrano is going to debate with Editor Steve and Coach Greg that calories in, calories out doesn't work. Not in all circumstances. Is Coach Greg and Steve right, or Dr. Eric Serrano? It's being moderated by Danny Bossa from the TRT and Hormone Optimization channel. 20,000 followers. I was on the channel before. They interviewed Coach Greg. They said, hey, what are you doing with HRT? The whole thing. So I've been following the channel, watching it every now and then. So be sure to check them out. So just so you know, for context, it was a Zoom call where we didn't know it was being recorded. We were just talking freely and then openly. So you want to see how Coach Greg acts in the real world when he's not being filmed, not being recorded? It's just me. You're going to see it. Want to see what Editor Steve is like? Does he sound smart? Does he know what he's doing? You can see it. You don't want to miss it. It's a bit long, but trust me, you're going to want to watch this.
Okay, first of all, nice to meet you, Greg and Steve.
Nice to meet you.
I want to apologize to you guys because you guys made it happen. I want to say thank you to Danny to keep bugging the shit out of me to do this. Greg, I've been spying on you. Actually, I never, to defeat the enemy, you need to know the enemy. You know what I'm saying? So I even bought your book. So I'm going to tell you that now. I read it. I finished it too, by the way. So I bought it about 2 weeks ago when he kept bugging me. So I said, I was looking forward to meet your brother because your brother's a statistician, which, man, with reading research right now, if you don't know statistics, it's bullshit. But I want to give you, I know where you guys are coming from, calories in, calories out, and I know Steven is there, and I know it's a law of thermodynamics. So you guys know a little about me. I've been practicing for 30 years, and Greg, I was like you. Calories in, calories out, calories in, calories out. For a long time, I was like that. Oh, you're fat, you didn't lose weight, you didn't follow my calories. Except when the iPhone came up, most people tend to write everything they eat, right? And they hide it from you, right? They say, okay, I ate this and like that. But with the iPhone, I did something different with my patients. I signed a contract with my patient, and they had to take a picture every day of everything they ate or drank. It didn't matter what it was. One everything. And then I started having people that were coming in and they were following exactly what I was telling them. I mean, it was insane. And I was like, wow, this is pretty impressive. People are losing weight, but eventually all of them stopped losing weight. And that's what I'm going to talk about now in a second. I also found out later on, I've been practicing for 30 years, there were so many things that were coming into the equation about losing weight that caloric intake became a, yes, it happens. Yes, it works up to a point, not all the time. It depends what your body is doing. Now, the reason for that is because I competed on the national. I used to have a world record, all that bullshit. And I decided to do it myself. I used to experiment with it. I did the ketogenic diet. I have done carnivore diet. I've done all that. If you do the ketogenic diet and the carnivore diet, your erections fail a little bit. I just want to tell you that in case you want to know that. But all those things that I discovered doing it myself. Initially, caloric intake was a very profound factor into the equation. But as time went on, no, it was about 30% of the equation. And Steven, I know I cannot see you, but I'm going to write some stuff. And if you cannot see them, let me know because I'm going to try to write it really big.
Greg, you were saying something at one point, and it was cutting out while he was speaking at the same time.
Yeah, calories in and calories out will always work. And when they stop losing weight at that set point, eventually, which makes sense, they just had to then lower calories further. Their BR might have lowered, their NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis might down. They might have.
I like how you think.
Okay, great. Eric, one sec. Everyone, guys, if two people talk at the same time, no one's going to be able to hear the others. So, Eric, if you hear Greg talking, wait till he stops and then talk, because otherwise the audio is just cutting out everywhere. So I'm going to try to Greg, finish your point, and then we'll get back to Eric.
Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, I'll let Eric go. I think I made my point.
Okay. Greg, the problem with that was until you start seeing anorexic patients that they don't eat. And I have patients, for some reason, my clinic became an anorexic clinic for 2 years. It was brutal. It's one of the hardest conditions to treat. And when you see a patient actually not eat and they lose weight up to a point, then they stop. Okay, then start cannibalizing their own body, even when they're eating, and they do stop. The organs starts dictating, hey, I gotta preserve this or do this. But I want to tell you where I'm coming from so you understand what I'm going to tell you. There are many things involved on weight loss, okay? I have a triangle, Greg, and I hope you can see this. You have this, watch. And Greg, this triangle, I hope you can you see the letters, Greg?
I see triangle.
Yeah, so it's a TR, CR, and MR, right? And what that means is time restriction, macronutrient restriction, and calorie restriction. All of those affect any individual. The only problem that I had was when I implemented this, I have to absolutely change each of those depending on the patient, but it depended in many things, Greg and Steven. It didn't depend only on this calorie, it was false. I wish it wasn't, but it's false. It's not true what you're doing, and you can prove it to yourself up to a point at one time. Now, the more muscular the patient is, Greg, you have an advantage. You're working with people that are very intuitive with their diet. They want to lose weight. They want to get in shape. Their fitness. So I have a high-end clientele that are like that. And I have also the normal people that are not. They just are obese. They want to lose weight. And I have people that have diseases. And I'm going to show you in a second. So I implemented this, right, Greg? And the problem was, and Steve, the problem was that I found out that there were other components to it. And for example, age, depends on the age, that person is going to have a different metabolic response, right? Babies versus adults versus a pregnant woman, correct?
Sure.
When the woman has the period, okay, and I have awesome research from Australia, they absolutely change their caloric burnt out. And where is it coming from? For example, estrogen, when the levels were peaking, they make you burn more fat. You don't know. So with the period, you can manipulate caloric intake, which changes, not because of caloric intake, but it changes because the hormonal milieu, okay? So I want to say this, hormonal milieu. So the sex makes a huge difference how you're going to work with the client. Location. I have patients all over the world, and the location became a huge deal on the sense of what does my client have access to? Can they eat fruits that I wanted to eat? Can they eat rice? Can they eat goat? You know, all those things became very important. Race, okay, blacks versus white versus whatever. For example, blacks don't do well with milk, right, or dairy, and then other people don't do well with other things. For example, Hispanics don't do good with oatmeal. So I start noticing all this difference. And there's more there, but the biggest one was this one. Disease state. That's what made me change my caloric theory or the caloric thing. For example, Greg and Steven, if I give a person 100 calories of Lucky Charms and I give a person 100 calories of broccoli, you're going to tell me that's the same number, correct?
Is it the same calories? Correct. However, body produced or process is different. So there's going to be a higher thermic effect of food from the broccoli than the Lucky Charms. So you're going to burn more calories converting it and so on. But it's still calories in, calories out. You're just altering the amount of calories you're burning based on the foods that you're eating. I mean, all of this is, there's no way you disagree with me. There's no way you wouldn't. It's still counts out. You need to be fit to lose the weight.
Again, you believe that. The problem is that it's not true. And the reason is you have not dealt with patients that have followed what you say over and over and over, and then they find out they can't. One thing is the reason.
I want to jump in. I want to jump in and
second.
say something, because this is kind of what this is what I've been sort of talking about with Greg and with everyone. And I mean, we've been doing these YouTube videos nonstop, and there's one we haven't posted yet talking about a Harvard study that said this, and I mean, it's all the same thing. And I'm hearing it. I mean, I'm looking at what you're writing on the wall, and no one is disagreeing with anyone here. Greg is agreeing with everything that you're saying. You're agreeing with everything Greg's saying. You're all kind of saying the same thing in a different way. And it kind of reminded me of another person who said that they were watching a baseball game, and they're in the stands, and they're watching a baseball game, and then there's this big fight that breaks loose, and then they look at it and they're like, their interpretation of what happened in this fight is one thing, because they're sitting on the bleachers and they're like, oh, it's the catcher that started it. Or another person is sitting on the third baseline, they're saying, oh, well, no, it was the pitcher that started it. And everybody has these different interpretations of what's going on, but you're all seeing the same fight and you're all saying the same thing. So when you're saying that 100 calories of broccoli and 100 calories of Lucky Charms is doing something different, well, of course, but Greg doesn't say it does different. So everybody's kind of misinterpreting everybody else. And I mean, we use the word straw man argument all the time, and it's basically that. It's straw man. It's one person saying, oh, well, so-and-so says this, therefore they don't believe in calories in, calories out. You're all believing in calories in, calories out. You're just all saying it in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, but I don't. Greg is simplifying. Oh, if you don't eat calories, if you don't eat above your calories, that is not true, though. That's a fact, because you eat a certain amount of calories. And Stephen, let me give you an example. I have a few patients that I absolutely calculate the amount of calories. I even took them down to 1,200 calories, right? And it was documented, not by me, by the dietitian, by the surgeon. And these people were not able to lose any weight once you hit 1,200 calories, even though they went to 800 up to down to 600. They were not losing weight. At that time, the surgeon sent it to me and said, listen, I don't know what to do with these patients.
Eat less.
They're doing
more.
And then what happened was this, when I checked the levels, they had lead, they had mercury, they have certain toxins that were absolutely in there, that were not letting the body, maybe we go back to calories, but it was not letting the body use or burn those calories the way it's supposed to, right? And the problem is,
all those things are affecting calories out. That's the only thing that everybody seems to be arguing on different ends of the spectrum, but you're all arguing the same thing again, because all those things that you listed on the wall, disease state, age, sex, all those things are affecting the calories outside of the equation.
Oh, I see
so
what
it's
you're
calories
saying.
in, calories.
It's still
all
calories.
those different things are affecting calories.
okay, but you see, you cannot simplify that with a client. You cannot tell him, I have patients that come to see, oh, the doctor said that I'm eating too many calories, which in reality, no, they were not eating too many calories.
They're still eating too
calories.
many. And I would simplify it like this. Sucks that you picked the wrong parents. Sucks that you're in a disease state, that you have mercury poisoning or whatever. You need to move more. I can get away with 30 minutes of cardio and stay ripped. You need to do 3 hours. Sucks to be you, but that's the unfortunate, you need to eat 1,000 calories. Your wife, she can eat 2,000. Sucks to be you. You need to eat less and move more, and you will lose weight. If you don't eat, eventually you starve to death of anorexia, just like the anorexic 14-year-old that I'm coaching that's 73 pounds, trying to get her to gain weight. She eats 1,500 a day. I'm like, you're not gaining weight. You need 1,600. She's like, yeah, but I don't think I need to eat that much because I shouldn't eat that much because I'm so small. I'm like, but your weight isn't going up, so clearly you need more. So she eats 1,600, maybe 17, 18. And as the months go by, her weight will go up if she's able to eat more and keep it down. And if you want to lose weight, you know, you have to eat less or move more. No way about it. But you can be altered by the choice of food. Like if somebody eats broccoli and chicken, they can eat more calories because they're going to burn more of that off as opposed to eating just donuts. But it's still calories in and out. It's just being affected by what you're eating or what you're doing.
Eric, just really quick, Eric. I am understanding what Steve is saying and actually what Greg is saying. What they're saying is you are bringing up areas that will affect how many calories are being burned through, right?
True.
So things that will slow down the amount of calories or things that will speed up the amount of calories. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be based on how many of those calories you're going through. So if there's something in the body that is slowing down how many calories you're going through.
But the problem is, Danny, that if you change the calories, you're not going to be able to do anything if you don't correct it, the main problem. Greg brought a great point. He said that he has one patient that has anorexia nervosa. I saw it 150. And to show Greg the point, I had a lady that was eating 1,600. Actually, I had many, but I want to specific this one because I want to tell you what happened to this lady. She was on 1,600 calories, Greg. Anorexia nervosa, right? Of course, she wanted to lose weight. At this 1,600 calories, she was not losing weight, right? But she consuming only certain amount of food, and she was not losing weight.
So put
I asked her,
and
what?
tell her to extra. So if I had a patient, or I don't call them patients, client. I have a client, 1,600 calories, not losing weight. This is what I say. I want you to add an hour of cardio a week to your total. I don't care if you do 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes every other day, whatever. And I would lower their calories by about 100 or 200. Then the next week's report comes in. If they haven't lost any weight, I'm saying, well, sucks. You need to even do more cardio, less food. Eventually, it always works every single time, 100 out of 100 times, 1,000 out of 1,000 times. Every single I've ever coached in my life has been able to lose weight. Some have to eat less calories than others. Some it's down to 1,200, but it happens and it eventually.
This is one case. I have many cases, but I want to tell you, this same girl was eating 1,600 calories and losing weight, right?
That's a lot of food, 1,600 for a girl. That's more than the average girl needs to eat. The average female in North America is eating 1,800. 1,600, that's probably what they should be eating because 1,800, the average person is in fact overweight. So the average person, 100 calories is eating too much.
But remember, she's anorexic. Okay.
So when you you're saying that she's severely underweight. So why is she trying to lose weight if she's anorexic? Shouldn't she be trying to gain weight?
Absolutely, I agree with you.
So what's the issue? So you have a girl who's anorexic eating 1,600 who wants to lose weight, and so I have a girl who's anorexic. She eats 1,500 when she hired me, 73 pounds. My goal, she paid $18,000 for me to coach her. My goal is to make her gain weight. So I'm upping her calories and trying to motivate and convince her that her body image is still okay, despite the fact that she's gaining slowly. So she has to look in the mirror and be comfortable with that. But she can gain weight. She just needs to eat more calories because she's obviously doing cardio and she's burning it off.
Eric, you're talking about an anorexic patient, but you brought up trying to lose weight, and I think you meant to say try to gain weight. And
no. She wants to continue losing weight. That's why, because she thought that at 1,600 calories, she keeps that calorie intake, she will lose weight. That was her mentality. Anorexia, people with anorexia nervosa are so confused and so sick that at 1,600 calories, she kept losing weight, right? But she was becoming anemic. She had other issues that were affecting her, right? So her goal was, if I eat 1,600 calories, I'm going to continue losing weight, right? So she was losing weight. So my goal was, okay, I had to confuse her. I said, so you're telling me at 1,600 calories, you're losing weight, right, Greg? I said, okay. But I don't want her losing weight anymore because she's becoming cachectic. So what I did is I took the same 1,600 calories that she was eating, and I changed all the foods, Greg, every single one of them, to my 1,600 calories. And guess what happened to her? She actually gained weight with 1,600 calories.
Right. You affected her calorie expenditure by altering the choice of foods, nutrient timing, various macros, so that she had a greater,
So then it wasn't the calories. So Greg, then it wasn't the calories.
And you can.
They're the same calories. They were equal. Or how about
affecting the energy expenditure. Like Danny gets it. He heard me and Steve. Like he understands. I can tell right away. He's like, I think.
I understand the net caloric intake. I understand fibers. I understand that. The only problem is that these were the same calories. These are the same numbers. And yes, I know Steven is going to say, yeah, we're still talking about net caloric intake. The only problem is, yes, I changed her foods, but she gained actually weight. And actually she was able to gain lean body mass, which is very rare in anorexic patients. I was using what she has against her because I say, okay, 1,600 calories always make you lose weight. I'm going to change it to my 1,600 calories that I want you to eat. Now, the calories are equal, but the net effect is totally different. So is it the calories or was it what happened with those foods metabolically that changed the system to become better? Do you see what I'm saying? I know that you're saying the calories is the only endpoint. It is not possible to be because if you give a case, if you get a patient, you're going to say, oh, it's net caloric intake, but it's not always caloric because you can have 1,000 calories of potatoes or 1,000 calories of steak. You say, oh, it's the net caloric intake, but it's totally different compositions of the food. The caloric intake is not going to only end up as being the only choice or the only compounding factor that is going to affect that patient. There's too many compounding factors, and I guess we're going back to what Steve said. We both all agree, but it's not only caloric intake. It's not true. It's impossible to be able to say one calorie, and everybody's different. I agree with you, Greg, on that. Everybody has a different composition for calories. Because obese versus lean versus heavy versus skinny. But the problem is that caloric is not the only answer, because there are patients or clients that I see that have done it over and over and over. Right now, I have a 432 patient, a 432-pound person. For the last 5.5 months, she had been eating only 600 calories.
Don't believe her. Bullshit. If you believe her, then you're an idiot. There's no way you believe her.
No, because I like how you think, because I used to be that idiot. Yes, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. The only
Can't fall for the bullshit. These patients, they want the sobs. Oh, doctor, I eat 600 calories a day and I can't lose weight. Yeah, right. And if they told me that, I'd say eat 500, eat 300, move your ass more, go for 6-mile walks instead of 5. There's no way you're 430 pounds as a human being, even in a coma, eating 600 calories and not lose weight. Physically impossible unless they're from Krypton, broke the laws of thermodynamics. There's no possible way.
I love that you said that. I wanted that. I wanted you to say that. The only problem is she was in the hospital, Greg. She was what?
She got snuck in after midnight. Gremlins came and visited her. No. There's no way you believe it. Not possible. Gremlins.
I believe her. I do believe her.
There's more likely that a superhero appeared from... A superhero came in and fed her when they weren't looking. The Invisible Man. Probably it was the Invisible Man. There's more likely a chance that that happened than what you're just saying.
Eric, just to clarify again what they're saying before, what the point that they're making when you're talking about the 1,600 calories and you changed all the food and now she's not losing weight because it's not calories in, calories out, that food that she was eating affected the rate at which calories were being burned and processed.
I understand that. What happened to this patient that was in the hospital that was eating only 600 calories, but she wasn't losing weight?
They were
there was no change.
And lying to you. That's what happened.
There was no change of macronutrient at all there. I wasn't controlling their macronutrient. Macronutrients or calories was being controlled by somebody else. But that lady was documented because she had videos in the room and everything. That was the whole purpose of that. That lady ate 600 calories for 3 months. Her weight wasn't loose, it wasn't changing. Actually, it's kind of funny. There are things that, for example, if you have something called a condition called maple syrup syndrome.
Yummy.
It's here and there, right? Then calories don't matter. Then it matters what the amount of branch change amino acids you take. So there's all these things that are affecting that patient that are not caloric, even though you might think, oh, it's only the calorie intake. No, I know what you're thinking. I was thinking the same way. I'm an idiot. I'm believing this patient. But no, when they're in the hospital, they're being video constantly. They're in 24-hour surveillance. No, I've seen it. Now, every body is different. Toxicity of the fat cells makes a huge difference. How the liver works makes a huge difference. Now, is it always calories? Then you have been lucky, Greg, that you have clients and patients or clients that have been doing that. And I'm okay with that. The only problem is that it's not true. I know what you're saying, but it's not true. I see, all I do every day is this. And I see it constantly. I see that. I also seen a person that eats the same amount of calories and you put it on thyroid and all of a sudden they lose weight. Same diet.
Calorie expenditure, the thyroid medication. But here I have a question.
Wait a second, but Greg, was it the calorie or was it because she was hypothyroid?
It was the fact that she was allowed to expel more energy through the use of medication, affecting her calories out. Her calories in was constant. Her calories out was changed to burn more. Therefore, she was in a deficit, allowing her to lose weight. The thyroid medication, in essence, it replaced doing cardio. So she could have walked a mile, but instead she took a pill that burnt the calories that walking a mile would have. But I have this question. I want to know. I got to know.
Yeah.
Do you think that 400-pound person, if she walked 10 miles, is it possible that she didn't burn calories during that walk? So if she did movement, could she move without burning calories? Because I just got to hear what you think. Like, no, the cardiologist.
Every time you do any kind of movement, you have to burn calories, of course. Now, the problem is that this was a control 3 months under video in a room because they wanted to keep her burning calorie intake the same, and she wasn't losing weight. Now, what was the reason for? I still haven't found out, haven't figured out yet. I will. But this person couldn't lose weight at all. And she weighs 432 pounds. Even just moving from her bed to the bathroom, even walking in the room should make a difference to that person, like you said, on the caloric expenditure. I agree with you there. But the problem is not happening. What's going on? I don't know. I do know that I understand what you're saying, but then you have not seen enough people, because there's always something out there that will affect somebody different. The best way to look at this is looking at rats also that are fed the same caloric intake, same one, and they're separated, same parents, same everything. When they separate them and they give the same caloric intake and they don't lose weight, but they're using the same amount of calories. This one's are losing weight. This one are losing weight. Yes, there's genetics. A reason. What?
It's genetics. They have a different metabolism.
I want to know, you said you had a patient that weighed 432 pounds and was locked in a room for 3 months and was fed 600 calories a day. And you're saying after 3 months that they didn't lose any weight, not 1 pound.
They didn't lose anything.
When I heard this story, I thought you were talking about one of the anorexic patients who was eating 600 calories a day and not losing weight. And I thought, okay, 600 calories a day, they weigh 60 pounds. Maybe they didn't lose weight. Maybe they were able to maintain on a 600 calorie a day diet. That would make sense. But now I'm understanding that this was a 432 pound patient eating
still.
If this was true, the research wouldn't be about how to fix this person so they can lose weight. The research would be, how the heck are we able to create human beings that are so efficient at living that they have some sort of chemical compound in their body that allows them to not eat and still produce enough energy to live? They would be doing that sort of research for the military. They would say, if we can somehow make super soldiers out of these people with this crazy metabolism that they can run a mile and not burn calories, that would be the most interesting research to date, not just having this guy try to lose a pound and not be able to do it on 600 calories a day. No way that's happening. There's no way.
Not possible. Not possible.
I'm not here to prove
it's like having a bear. They hibernate in the woods.
Hold on, Eric, 1 sec. Let Steve finish. Steve, say again, please.
I was just going to compare this person to a bear, where they're going hibernating in the winter. They're bulking up for the winter, and then they basically sleep. Their metabolism drops to almost zero. But those bears aren't not losing weight. They're actually losing weight. So even if this person has zero metabolism, they're going to slowly burn enough calories that they're going to lose a pound. They're going to lose probably 100 pounds in the 3 months that you have them on a 600 calorie diet. There's no way.
It's actually 600. The chef miscalculated. The chef giving them the calories made a mistake. They thought the rice was weight without water instead of with water, whatever. But it's not possible. Like, if you actually think that, you don't know enough about food to be able to do these kind of present this information. There's no way you can think a 400-pound person can survive on 600 calories. They can't. They physically cannot do it. Not possible.
I want to say one more thing too, because I think of this through, like, I'm a statistician. So what I would do is think about all the data that I'm getting. To me, this is a data error. There's just some things you have to look at and say, there's no way this is possible, and doubt your results. If I ran an analysis and then I'm supposed to be publishing this and I get a p-value that's, you know, less than 0.001, and I say, well, that's odd. I wasn't expecting that, because the results are in the wrong direction. You know, this drug should be helping them, and I found that this drug. My first thought is, I must have done something wrong. And then what happens is I go back, check my results, and there you go. I did something wrong. So this is what I'm seeing here. If you have somebody 432 pounds that's supposed to be eating 600 calories a day for 3 months, they didn't lose a pound, I'd say, well, it's one of two things. They're eating more, or my weight scale is broken and it keeps saying 432 pounds every day. Meanwhile, the scale is just stuck on 432. I would jump on that scale and see if I weigh 432 as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
Steve. So,
Eric, I'm seeing your ceiling.
what?
Okay, I see you again.
No, Steven, this is for you. So if you're talking about calories, what would be the longest time that you can go without calories, right?
And live?
And live, right? Yeah.
It depends on how
I didn't hear, Greg, what you said.
the obese.
Okay, great. That's the right answer, actually. Now, would that person continue losing weight all the time if they don't eat? Or there's going to be a point?
Yes, they would lose weight until they die. And the only way that they don't lose weight is if they drink water and don't pee for a while.
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys use fasting in your practice?
Yes.
Okay. What's the longest you can think?
Bodybuilding.
One at a time, guys. One at a time. Eric, ask your question first.
What's the longest you have a patient fast?
Maybe a day for a powerlifting meet to make weight. Maybe as much as a day, but I don't have them typically fast like every day. Just to make weight for like MMA fighting, boxing. You know what I mean? Like to make a weight class, but not just, hey, let's just fast for autophagy or anything like that. I don't use that practice.
Okay, Steven?
I don't have patients. I just deal with doctors who have them.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. If you take a person and make them fast for such amount of time, right? And you say, I want you fasting for this long. That person should continue losing weight, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I have what I would call very religious people too, right? And sometimes these people fast for 21 days with only water, right?
Yep.
And there's a point in time that they stop losing weight.
Nope.
Okay?
Well, they might gain some water retention. They can preserve water weight. So if they're continuing to drink water, and I mean, every single day you get on the scale, some days are going to be higher than others. It doesn't mean every single day you lose weight, but you're losing
I agree.
muscle or lean tissue or fat every single day.
So losing that muscle, you're going to say, well, because they're losing muscle, they're going to burn less calories. So we go back to calories, correct?
They're going to slowly lower their metabolism due to having less muscle mass. They're going to have less NEAT, the calorie expenditure on a daily basis. Their heart rate is going to go down. They're going to slowly become more like, kind of like just sitting there conserving everything. Like when I diet really hard for a bodybuilding show, I don't even turn my head to drive. I don't do a shoulder check because it's just too much energy. You just sit there and don't move versus you're really hyper when you're eating enough. So if you fast for 21 days, you're going to lose weight and slowly lose less and less weight as the weeks go by.
Okay, I got a question for you, Greg. If you didn't take steroids, right? If you didn't take any steroids, do you think you can develop the body that you have that eating the same amount of calories?
Without steroids, I was at my current, I'd probably be like 15 pounds of muscle less than right now, roughly.
With the same calories?
With the same calories. Okay, with steroids, I need more calories because more of the...
No. You didn't answer my question, Greg. I said you will have the same amount of muscle without steroids, eating the same amount of calories.
No, I'd have more fat and less muscle. If I didn't take steroids, I would have more fat, less muscle on the same amount of...
Was it the calories or was it the steroids in there?
The calories were needed to build the muscle. The muscle was then built by...
No. Greg, I have Greg twin here and Greg twin here.
Right.
We have the same genes and we give the same amount of calories, Greg. And this guy takes steroids. Who is going to gain more muscle?
The guy on steroids will gain more muscle for sure by a lot.
Is it because the calories or is it because the anabolic steroids?
The steroids.
Okay, so there's no... Thank you. That answer you... Thank you. That was not the calories. That was the steroids.
So yeah,
but now we're talking about lean muscle tissue.
No. But I'm just saying, in that case, Danny, it was not the calories. It was actually the anabolic steroids. You see what I'm saying? But also, it can be the choice of exercising because Greg can be lifting weights and his twin brother can be doing aerobics, which is a completely change of metabolism also. And Greg agrees with that. But I'm saying is, you can have a person that weighs 100 pounds and you give it, and the same twin brother, and they eat the same amount of calories, same genetics, but you put this patient on anabolic steroids, even though they're eating the same caloric intake, this guy will gain muscle weight, even though they're eating the same caloric intake.
I don't know if you're really trying to argue about calories in, calories out, but if they are, I hope not, because these are kind of what I read on a daily basis in the comment section on YouTube video, Greg's videos, anybody's videos, in the defense of calories in, calories out being wrong. And these are, I don't even know how they're arguments to say that two different people eating the same calories but having different
No. These were twins. Twins. They were the same.
Two identical people in parallel universes, same person, and they're eating the same and taking the same steroids and doing the same thing are going to get the same results. That's obvious.
No, I didn't. I didn't say that.
But argument talking about steroids versus not steroids, I don't really know where we're going with the calories in versus calories out debate.
You didn't understand my question. I said I have two Gregs that are equal, identically twins, right? And one of them is taking steroids and the other one is not taking steroids. Even though they're taking the same amount of calories, even though they're doing the same workout, the guy on anabolic steroids will gain muscle much more than the person not taking steroids.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same argument as saying you have two identical people and one of them doesn't work out and the other one does, and they're eating the same calories.
These two are eating the same, these two are working out the same, but one is taking anabolic steroids. Absolutely no way you can tell me that it was the number of calories the workout is going to be the anabolic steroids that make a humongous difference on that person to be able to gain anabolic weight or lean body mass because he took steroids. There is a difference right there. Yeah. That calories matter, but not all the time.
But your argument is the same as having two identical people and both of them work out, both of them do the same amount of calories, except one of them has a disease that causes their metabolism to go down. And then that's the parallel to the whole anabolic steroids thing. Well, this person has a disease. Well, one of them with the disease is going to influence their calories out, and then they're going to start gaining weight or gaining fat versus the other person who's not going to have that problem. I mean, it's just the opposite side. The anabolic steroids is pro muscle gaining, and then the disease.
But you said it. I agree with you. You said it. The anabolic steroid even though they're eating the same calories, it's making you gain weight, even though through the same caloric process. The only problem is that the partition of those calories becomes totally different, which I totally agree with you. Maybe we tend to disagree, and we agree to disagree because, like I said, you can have twin brothers, one taking steroids, the other one not taking steroids. They both eating the same, but the guy that would take anabolic steroids absolutely gain weight, even though they're the same genetical predisposition, everything.
I just don't know what this argument is gone. I mean, you're saying that Greg is agreeing, I'm agreeing, we're all agreeing, and none of this relates to calories.
Yes, it does.
Let me clarify for everybody. When you're Eric, when you're talking about two guys and one trains and one doesn't.
No. They both train. They're both training. They are identical twins.
Yes.
They are both training. They're in the same caloric intake.
I understood everything.
Same workout, everything. But one is taking anabolic steroids and the other one is not taking anabolic steroids. The effects are going to be completely, absolutely different.
I agree. Okay, so just to clarify everything to Greg and Steve, because he does bring up a good point. You got two identical Greg Doucettes. You clone them. They both train exactly the same. Everything's the same. The food that they eat is identical, but one of the Greg Doucettes is taking massive steroids. The other one is not. At the end of the day, after a 6, 8, 10 week, 12-week cycle, the Greg Doucette taking the steroids will be heavier than the Greg Doucette that did not, with this exact same caloric intake. And they're both doing precisely the same exercise, which means they should technically be burning exactly the same amount of energy and calories. So Eric's point is, here is a variable that would actually influence the amount of weight gains compared to the one that was not taking steroids. He brings up a valid point there.
But how does that calories in and out? There's less calories needed to make a pound of muscle because muscle is predominantly water, fat is predominantly fat. And so, you're going to gain more weight of most of it is water, but it doesn't mean it's affecting the in and out equation. You still need a certain or deficit.
We can come up with hundreds of examples that would make that just look just as silly. I mean, you could say we have the same two people, they're both eating 3,000 calories a day, and the only difference is one person is going to increase their sodium content by X amount for the last 3 days before the weigh-in, and all of a sudden, wow, the person who increased their sodium all of a sudden gained more weight.
No, but in this case, Steven, there's no change.
Calories in, calories out doesn't work because sodium.
They were eating absolutely the same every meal, the same.
I'm not talking about those two examples. I'm talking about my own new example. That's instead of, I mean, you manipulated the variable of having anabolic steroids. Well, I'm manipulating the variable of having excess sodium for the last day before weigh-in. And my example is illustrating the same thing that you're saying. And you're adding one more variable that's changing the amount of weight. Your variable was steroids. It increased the water weight, which was part of the muscle weight. My variable is the sodium. The sodium was causing you to retain water, and then now your weight's going up. So I mean,
so in that case, Steven, was it the calories or was it the amount of sodium that was causing the weight gain?
The sodium.
Well,
yes, so it was not the calories.
Your point, though, but that's the point that we're making.
What's the point? I mean, I'm making the same point you're making. So we're not agreeing to disagree. We're agreeing to agree right now.
Yes.
I guess you can call it that way. I like that.
The only thing that is in disagreement, which is not a disagreement, is the fact that you're saying that calories matter, and we're saying that calories also matter. The disagreement is where we're saying quantity versus quality. It's all different, quantity of food matters and quality of food matters. But the thing is, quality affects quantity and quantity affects quality. So if you're going to have a different quality of food, it's going to affect the ability to have a different quantity and get the same results. And that's back to the whole broccoli example, broccoli versus Lucky Charms. If you have broccoli, that's a better quality food, which allows you to have more quantity. So you end up with two different calorie contents with the same results. And then it says, oh, well, that means calories in, calories out don't matter because we've just made a situation where different calories give the same results. Therefore, how can it be just calories? Well, of course, it's not just calories, but no one ever says that. So whenever we or anybody else make a video on YouTube saying that calories in, calories out is the truth, it is the truth, and anybody who disagrees with it are just not understanding what we're saying, because they're only looking at it as the calories in. You have to think about the calories out. So every single thing that you've said, the anabolic steroids, the different scenarios, this and that, it's affecting everything. It's affecting the calories out.
I agree.
The calories
I totally agree. I totally agree. So I guess what we need to agree or disagree, Greg is going to say only calories. I'm going to say there's too many other factors that do influence calories that are not the reason for that patient to gain weight or lose weight. So I guess we agree.
But those things, Eric, to clarify, are affecting the calories out, is what they're saying. If they have a disease, if they have a mercury toxicity, if they have whatever else, all of those factors are going to affect the amount of calories out.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can't use the. I mean, you had a nice list there with age, sex, race, different periods in your life. If you're I don't know, if you're a woman and you're carrying a child, then the metabolisms are changing. If you're old, different things. If you have a disease, if you need thyroid medicine and you don't get it, there's all these different things that are affecting the calories out. So I just don't like it when people say let's agree to disagree, because to me it's let's just agree to agree. You just need to understand. It's almost like you just have to sit and really listen to what we're saying to understand what we're saying, and then you can say, I get it now. We do all agree.
I'm going to agree that caloric is a component of the weight loss. I don't agree that is the most important component of it, but absolutely, yes. It is a component of it, but it's not the biggest of all of them. And it depends on the situation, because each individual is absolutely different. I have to deal with much, much more complicated cases than you guys have to a point, in the sense that I get weird diseases, of course. And again, I agree with you, Steven, because if I get a patient with cancer, which is going to create cachexia secondary to the metabolic rate, so that patient needs more caloric intake or more nutrient intake versus caloric intake, which that'd be another issue also too. I agree with you.
But Eric, all the things you're saying are affecting the calories out. Do you agree there?
Yes.
So then you agree with them. I'm looking at this unbiased, because me personally,
No, I know.
I don't give a shit which one it is. I'm totally unbiased.
Sure Greg is simplifying that it's only. I might be wrong. I might take it a run. Caloric is the only thing that matters. That's what Greg is saying. Which in reality,
calories in and out is how you lose weight. So if you're not losing weight, you need to either eat less or burn off more of the food that you're eating. And that 432 pound person eating 600 calories, let's in a magic world believe that that's actually true. They need to eat less. They need to eat 500 or 400, or they need to, instead of just walking to the bathroom, they need to walk to the bathroom 10 times and increase expenditure. And they will lose weight. They eventually will.
Or they need to fix the underlying disease, which is what you're saying.
yes.
And well, calories in, calories out, it's not the most important thing. Well, it's the only important thing. It's the end thing, but it's the most important thing is how you decide what's the most important for you. It's like the doctor that did a little self-experiment on himself, and he said, oh, can I lose weight if I just eat Oreos and cookies and this and that? And he did it, and he lost weight. But what did he say? He said, this was the hardest thing I ever had to do. He was eating whatever 1,800 calories a day. It was just cookies and junk food all the time, but he was like hungry, constantly feeling like shit, but he was losing weight. Now, is it the most important thing, calories in, calories out? It is. That's the end result. That's the equation that you're trying to balance. So how do you balance that equation? It's all the other things, the stuff that you're saying about what's the most important thing. Well, the most important thing is to get your quality foods, which is also what Greg says. You have to eat the low calorie dense foods, and then that's going to be the quality that affects that equation to make sure you're losing weight.
So Steven, because you're a statistician, then I'm going to agree, but it's going to be, how do we measure calories, which is we measure calories in a box. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories, 1 gram of carbohydrate has 4 calories, 1 gram of protein has 4 calories, right? 4.34, whatever it is. Up to a point, I have to agree, yes. Again, it depends on the subject, I guess. Are calories the only thing that matters? No. Is that true or false, Stephen?
It's false. The only thing that matters is balancing the calories in, calories out equation. And if you
Yeah.
can't
Equation.
balance it,
Balancing
then
energy you're talking
something
about.
wrong.
Now, okay, you in this case we're talking about weight, doesn't matter health, doesn't matter anything else, correct? Greg, Stephen?
Everything matters to that equation, and it's you even said it yourself that there's so many confounders and so many different variables to the whole equation. Well, calories in, calories out is the one equation. Now, if you put calories on one side of the equation and calories out on the other side of the equation, you have to put all those confounders on both sides of the equation. Your age is going to affect how many calories out is going to happen. Your sex, your race, all those different things, part of period of life, stress, hormone, cortisol, the whole bit, they're all going to affect calories out. So if you have this ideal situation with all those things balanced on this side, then all those things on the other side can, you eat whatever calories in to balance that calories out part of the equation.
Okay. So for Greg's solution to his clients, always to lower the caloric intake if they're not losing weight. Is that correct, Greg?
Not
No.
necessarily. Not necessarily, Eric. You either
No.
lower the caloric intake or you have to increase the caloric output.
Output, yes. Okay.
Or you have to
for
fix
exercise.
their under
Now,
issues.
Greg, any of
If-
those
Yeah.
clients, Greg, any of those clients develop any healthy issues?
Have ever had a client that had a health issue from what I did? No, but I've helped clients. So for example, they need thyroid medication. They go to the doctor, they need HRT. They have too low test levels and all that. We go to the doctor and then they'll say, hey, do I need to do anything? I'm like, now that you're on HRT, you can actually eat the same amount of calories. And a lot of those food calories are going to be nutrient partitioning. It's going to take place. You're going to have a lot of those calories turn to muscle. So eat the same thing because you're actually going to experience a higher elevated metabolism. You're going to feel better. You're probably going to increase NEAT. And so you're going to burn fat and build more muscle. So we don't even need to change calories. Versus if they didn't go get HRT, said, hey, sorry, your genetics suck. You're going to have to do more cardio or eat less. Or I might say, wow, if you're eating 1,000 calories of jelly beans, I might say, let's eat a lot of protein and fibers, vegetables, because then a lot of the calories are going to be expelled through the thermic effect of food, the digestion process. So we can affect calorie expenditure by changing the types of foods that they eat.
So this is a kind of a technicality then. I guess the way you're looking at it, energy expenditure versus energy expenditure versus energy intake, which I'm going to agree with that because the engine is going to burn what it has, because if it doesn't have it, it's not going to burn it. Now, that engine requires spark plugs, requires oil, requires other things, in which you guys say, okay, it's not as important as the energy output or energy intake, which I'm going to agree, but Steven said agree to agree. I'm going to agree to disagree on the sense of, yes, the calories are important. In some clients, might be the number one reason. In another clients, might be the fourth in the list of the reasons. Do you agree with that, Steven, or not?
Well, I agree. If you're going to talk about an analogy of having a person as an efficient machine or whatever, and then you can compare it to a car. And if you're putting the fuel in and they have a gas tank with a hole in it and the gas is just getting spilt all over the road, then you're going to need to put a lot more gas in because you're losing all that gasoline. So I mean, it's the same thing with spark plugs and this and that. If your tires are not pumped up full pressure or whatever, you're efficient, right? So you need to correct all these other little things. But at the end of the day, those little tweaks are probably not as big of a deal as just getting the right calories in, calories out. Unless you're dealing with something huge. Like I don't even know. I can't even think of an example where I guess we've used the thyroid medication and stuff, but even with thyroid meds, if you have just a little thyroid problem, getting those thyroid meds is not going to allow you to eat an extra 2,000 calories a day. It's not going to change your 430-pound person that's eating 600 calories. Oh, I'm going to pop a little thyroid medicine. Now I can eat 4,000 calories a day. There's no extreme disease that's going to make that inefficient, that calories in, calories out is
Well,
base.
you can have a patient that actually can go toxic by eating branch chain amino acids if they have a condition called maple syrup syndrome, which you know is another thing. It's
Awesome.
another thing, right? So
Ali had that. Awesome. We like maple
what?
syrup volleyball. It was the coolest thing ever. We did so much research on it. It was so funny. I was like, babe, why do you smell like maple syrup? Like, what?
Who had that, Greg? Who had that?
My friend about 3 years ago. She also had
What?
shit ton, but story.
You're breaking up, Greg. Repeat that because I'm interested.
Eric, if you're flying through a book, I think you're looking for research or something.
My girlfriend had, and yeah, the puzzles. My girlfriend had it. She has Crohn's disease too. But the only thing that Eric said that really bugged me was that he thinks that the 432-pound person could lose weight on 600 calories. And if you actually believe that, I just don't know if you know that much about metabolism and the fact that you can't be that big and not lose weight at that calorie intake. Like, it's common sense. Yeah.
I'm gonna accept that, Greg. I'm gonna take that actually as a compliment because yes, I don't think I know as much about metabolism as a few other people there, but again, that is kind of a documented and pretty much straightforward. So, you know,
see, we don't believe studies and stuff like that all the time. We don't just take studies. Me and Steve, we read a study and we're like, yeah, no. So, like, if somebody presented a study, 400-pound patient is on 600-calorie diet, bedridden, in hospital, didn't lose weight, we'd be like, yeah, it's bullshit. We would just call it out on it, and it wouldn't be true. Like, it's just not true. It's not possible. Like, if I read a study and it says somebody ran a mile in 1.5 minutes, and they published it and had all the research, I'd be like, but they didn't, because no one can run that fast. I wouldn't care if 50 doctors were there present watch. I'd say it didn't happen. Common sense, you can't run that fast.
At that point, I'm not going to disagree with you. I mean, again, that is pretty, I mean, who knows what's happening in the future, but I agree with that. And again, like I said, I'm going to agree with, disagree with you guys, but I like that Steven is you do statistic, which actually, Steven, I'd like to actually use you a little more later if I could.
Eric, Greg's got about 10 people in his living room. He's got a UFC party, and we're having a
Steven,
chat.
nice to meet you. Greg, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed this.
Everything. Like, hearing it, I'm like, no, yeah, actually, with us. It's just, you can tell by what you're saying that you agree. You're just trying to put a spin on there's other factors affecting it, but that we agree on all those factors and they just affect the calorie out portion. So, like, it's like what I expected. I figured you're just going to say a bunch of stuff that actually agrees with us.
But, like I said, I agree to disagree. Yes. And part of yes, I mean, the key here is what you consider what is the most important thing, which you think is actually calories. I think that's what you consider the most important thing. I'm just looking at it, I don't think that's the most important thing, but it's a component of it, which I have to agree with you.
Yeah, but Eric, everything you're talking about are things that are going to affect the calories out, right?
If you're going to look at it from that statement, yes. The only problem is I cannot look at it as just being, just the calories. You see what I'm saying? I cannot say that. And I know that Greg, now that I listen to Greg speak, I know he's not saying, okay, I'm not simplifying it like he was. I saw he was talking always calories, but he said, okay, he's talking about no calories, but actually energy output versus energy intake. Okay. Because in reality, the measure of a calorie is questionable in a human body because it was created for a box. But I know what Greg is saying. He's talking about energy output versus energy intake, which I will accept that, yes.
Right.
It's just that the measurement that we're using is not correct.
So Greg and Steve are saying calories in, calories out. You're saying it's calories in, but there's a lot of things that can affect
energy.
the calories out.
I'm saying energy in, energy out. Let's put it that way for me. Energy in, energy out.
Yes. So we can agree on that. Energy in, energy out.
Yes, we agree to that.
Hope you enjoyed what we just did there. Hope you enjoyed. I hope it made sense. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette, IBU Pro. Be sure to watch at least one of those 2 blooped up videos. And until next time, I am out.